So here is the part 2 of our lesson about proportion. So at the end of this lesson or visual lesson, you are expected to find a missing term in a direct proportion as well as to identify the problem, which is under direct proportion. Number 2, find a missing term in an inverse proportion or indirect proportion. Number 3, find a missing term in a partitive proportion. So before we move to discussion or explanation, write yes if the pair of ratios forms a proportion. If not, write no. So paano ba natin malalaman kung yung pares ng ratio ay isang proportion? If yung means and extremes nila ay nag-equal. Sabi nga natin, proportion means it is the equality of two ratio. So, kailangan mag-equal yung means and extremes ng ratio para masabi natin itong proportion. So, sa number 1, kailangan i-multiply muna natin si means and extreme. So, sa number 1, we have 4 is to 1 is equal to 20 is to 5. So, yung means natin dyan is yung nasa inner part at yung extreme natin itong nasa outer part. So, multiply lang natin si 4 and 5, which is 4 times 5 is 20 equals, i-multiply naman natin ang means, 1 times 20 equals 20. So, since equal ito, ibig sabihin, 4 is to 1 is equal to 20 is to 5. Ibig sabihin, this pair of ratio is a proportion. Kaya, ang sagot sa number 1 ay yes. Number 2, 10 is to 3 is equal to 9 is to 2. Same process, we will multiply the means and extremes. So, 10 is to 3 is equal to 9 is to 2. So, 3 times 9 and 10 times 2. So, 10 times 2, 20. 3 times 9 is 27. So, 20 and 27 are not equal. So, it only means 10 is to 3 is not equal to 9 is to 2. Therefore, it is not a proportion. So, the answer is no. Number 3. 1 is to 2 is equal to 16 is to 32. So, same process. Multiply the means and extremes. So, 1 times 32 is equal to 32. 2 times 16 is equal to 32. So, equal siya. Ibig sabihin, 1 is to 2 and 16 is to 32 is proportion. So, yes. So, number 4, 4 is to 5 is equal to 32 is to 40. Although, it is written in fraction form, sabi nga natin, ratio can be written in 3 forms. The first one is in colon, the second one is in word, and the third one is in fraction form. So, sa number 4, same pa rin, multiply means and extreme, or simply cross multiply. Okay? So, 4 times 20 is equal to 160. Then, 32 times 5 is also equal to 160. Since equal ito, ibig sabihin, 4 is to 5 and 32 is to 40 is a proportion. So, yes. And number 5, 45 over 30 is equal to 61 over 46. So, 45 times 46 is equal to 2070, while 61 times 30 is equal to 1,830. So, hindi sila equal. It only means that number 5 is not a proportion. So, the answer is no. So, now let us have the discussion. Problem number 1, mother prepares something for her guest as pabaon. Each guest will receive 8 salted eggs. If 25 guests came, how many salted eggs will mother prepare? So, kung mapapansin nyo, from 1 guest, magiging 25 guests. So, ibig sabihin, as the number of guests increases, the number of eggs will also increases. So, it only means this problem is a direct proportion. So, when we say direct proportion, one quantity increases as the other quantity constantly increases. Likewise, if the quantity decreases, the other quantity constantly decreases. So, ibig sabihin, once na nag-increase ang isang quantity, kailangan sasabayan to ng isa pang quantity na constantly mag-i-increase. Kapag naman bumaba or nag-decrease, kailangan bababa rin or magdi-decrease ang isa pang quantity. So, to solve this problem, kailangan i-form muna natin yung magiging ratio natin. So, dito, ang magiging ratio natin is guess is to salted egg is equal to, also guess is to salted eggs. So, yung unang ratio is each guest will receive 8 salted eggs. That is 1 is to 8 equals guest, which is 25. Dun sa second ratio natin, 25 guess is to how many salted eggs? That is unknown. Ibig sabihin, yun yung aalamin natin. Ilan bang salted eggs ang i-prepare or ihahanda ni mother para sa 25 na bisita. So, that is unknown. So, we will use n. So, to solve this, to solve for the unknown in proportion, we have to multiply. So, gagamitin pa rin natin yung ginawa natin kanina sa exercise or sa activity na nauna, which is multiply the means and extremes. So, pwedeng nakasulat siya as ratio form or pwede rin isulat as fraction form, which is 1 is to 8 is also equal to 25 is to n. So, dito, we have to cross-multiply para makuha or ma-solve. So, cross-multiply 1 times n. 1 times n is equal to n. 25, magiging 25 times 8. So, n is equal to 25 times 8 is equal to 200. So, ibig sabihin, mother needs to prepare 200 salted eggs for 25 guests. Once again, when we say direct proportion, one quantity increases as the other quantity constantly increases. Likewise, if the quantity decreases, the other quantity constantly decreases. Problem number 2. In an orphanage, a certain amount of rice feeds 25 people for 45 days. How long would the same amount of rice last if there are 75 people to feed? So this is another type of proportion problem. As the number of people to be fed increases, the number of days the rice lasts will decreases. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kung sa looban ng 45 days, 25 na tao lang yung pakakainin mo nung rice or nung pikas, how about kapag naging
75
na tao na yung pakakainin mo. So, ibig sabihin, pag mas madaming taong pakakainin, maglalast lang yung rice sa konting panahon or konting araw. So, bababa yung bilang ng days. So, kapag ganyan ang problem, it will fall to indirect or inverse proportion. So, if one quantity increases, the other quantity constantly decreases. Likewise, if one quantity decreases, the other quantity constantly increases. So, inverse yung nangyayari. Kung yung isang quantity pataas, the other quantity decreases or pababa. Kung yung isang quantity ay pababa, the other quantity pataas naman siya or increases. So, to solve that, let us form first the ratio. So, dito, pwede tayong gumawa ng table. Which is, ito, people. And then, yung days. So, sa first ratio natin, which is 25 people, ilang days maglalast yung bigas? It will last for 45 days. How about kapag 75 people, it will last, unknown pa, yun yung aalamin natin, and that is n. So, para isolve yan, susundan lang natin itong table. So, magiging 25 over 75 is equal to, ang kaibahan lang since ito ay indirect or inverse, kukunin din natin yung inverse ng 45 at ni n, which is magiging n over 45. Instead na 45 over n, kunin ang inverse, gagawing n over 45. Now, pwede na natin siyang isolve using cross multiplication. So, cross multiply. So, 25 times 45 is equal to 1,125 equals n times 75 is equal to 75n. So, now, since may kasama si n na 75, we will divide both sides of the equation by 75 para matanggal natin or ma-eliminate natin si 75. So, kailangan kung ano yung ginawa mo sa isang side ng equation, ganun din ang gagawin mo sa kabilang side of the equation. Kung nag-divide ng 75 dito sa right side, kailangan mag-divide din tayo ng 75 dito sa left side. So, 75 divided by 75 is equal to 1, which is 1 times n is equal to n. 1,125 divided by 75 is equal to 15. So, ibig sabihin, n is equal to 15. So, for 75 people to be fed, the rice will last for 15 days. Again, when we say indirect or inverse proportion, one quantity increases, the other quantity constantly decreases. Likewise, if one quantity decreases, the other quantity constantly increases. Last problem, problem number 3. A jar has 64 pieces of cookies. If Anna, Ella, and Mika will share the cookies in the ratio of 2:3 respectively, how many cookies will each have? So, when we say respectively, so yung nasa ratio, yung 2 part ni Anna, yung first 3 part ni Ella, at yung last na 3 is part ni Mika. So, kapag may nakita kayong ratio sa problem, ibig sabihin ito ay partitive proportion. So, the whole is divided into parts based on the given ratio. Dahil sa problem na to, yung 64 ay paghahati-hatian ni Ana at Ella at ni Mika, ibig sabihin, ito ay partitive. So, kapag dinivide or may sharing or may pagpa-parts, ibig sabihin, partitive yung proportion. So, para i-solve yan, yung 2:3 ay dadagdagan lang natin ng n. So, magiging 2n plus 3n plus 3n is equal to 64. So, bakit natin dinagdagan ng n? Because we are looking for the cookies of Ana, cookies of Ella, and cookies of Mika. So, yung 2, 3, 3 ay part pa lang nila. Okay? Part pa lang ni Ana, Ella, at ni Mika. So, bakit ko inad? Kasi kapag pinagsama yung cookies nung tatlo, ito ay 64. Or ito ay equal sa 64. So, pwede na nating isolve yan. 2n plus 3n plus 3n. So kukopyahin lang natin si n. So, bring down lang natin si n. And then, i-add natin si 2 plus 3 plus 3. So, 2 plus 3 plus 3 is equal to 8. Is equal to, bring down 64. So, para makuha natin yung value ni n, i-divide natin both sides of the equation by 8. Bakit si 8? Kasi kailangan ang ma-remain dito sa left side of the equation is n. Kasi we are looking for the number of cookies. So, yung 8, kailangan natin itong i-eliminate or matanggal. So, 8 divided by 8 is equal to n. Uulitin ko, 8 divided by 8 is equal to 1 times n is equal to n. N is equal to 64 divided by 8 is equal to 8. So, ngayon, ang gagawin natin para makuha ang part ni Ana, which is Ana, ang part niya ay 2n. So, i-multiply lang natin yung 2 times yung value ni n, which is 8. 2 times 8 is equal to 16. So, ibig sabihin, ang magiging cookies ni Ana ay 16. Kay Ella naman, which is ang part niya ay 3n, or 3 times cookies, 3 times the value of cookies, which is 8. 3 times 8 is equal to 24. Ibig sabihin, ang kay Ella ay 24 cookies, same as with Mika. Dahil pareho silang, ang part nila ay 3n. So, 3 times 8 is equal to 24 cookies. So, para ma-check natin kung tama ba ang pagpa-part natin or pagdi-divide ng cookies with a ratio of 2:3:3 respectively, i-add natin yung 16, 24, at 24. Kailangan ang maging total niya ay 64 cookies. So, 6 plus 4 is 14. 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. So, ibig sabihin, 64 equal dun sa 64 pieces cookies na nasa jar. So, ibig sabihin, yung pagde-divide ng cookies in the ratio of 2:3 ay tama. So, again, when we say partitive proportion, the whole is divided into parts based on the given ratio. Before I end this video, iiwan ko to sa inyo para practicein yung isolve. Pero bago yan, i-identify natin or tutulungan ko kayong i-identify ang bawat problem na to kung ito ba ay direct, indirect, or partitive. So, when dealing a proportion problem, kailangan i-identify nyo muna kung ito ba ay direct, indirect, or partitive proportion. Bakit? Mas madaling mag-solve or mas madaling mag-form ng equation kapag alam mo kung anong type or anong uri ng proportion problem yung isosolve mo. So, sa number 1, at the rate of 3 items for 100 pesos, how much will 12 items cost? So, kung yung 3 items daw ay 100 pesos, paano pa kaya kung yung 12 items? Magkano ang 12 items? So, as the number of items increases, malamang the number of price or cost of the items will also increases. Kung pareho mag-i-increase, ibig sabihin, ang problem number 1 ay isang direct proportion. Number 2, Mr. Datu has enough money to pay 8 workers for 15 days. If he adds 4 more workers, for how long can he pay at the same rate? So, kung meron siyang 8 workers at babayaran niya ito within 15 days ng pera na meron siya, what if kung magdagdag pa siya ng another 4 workers? So, magiging 12 na yung workers na. Sa tingin nyo, sasapat pa ba yung pera na ibabayad niya? So, ibig sabihin, sasapat naman yun, pagkakasyahin ni Mr. Dato yon, pero mas magiging maiksi na lang yung days o yung araw. Okay? Mas liliit na lang yung days na sasapat yung pera na meron si Mr. Dato. So, ibig sabihin, as the number of workers increases, so, the number of days will decrease. So, ibig sabihin, kung yung isa nag-increase at yung isang quantity nag-decrease, ito ay isang indirect proportion or inverse. Indirect or inverse proportion. So, number 3, the salary of 2 workers is in the ratio of 3:4. They received 12,500. How much did each worker receive? So, yung number 3 problem, ibig sabihin, yung 12,500 ay i-divide. Okay? I-divide nila in the ratio of 3:4. Kapag may division, kapag may partition, ibig sabihin, this problem will fall to partitive proportion. Since na-identify na natin kung anong type ng problem ang mga ito, you can now move to solving or you can now move to solution. And that will be for you. So that's all for today. Again, to learn mathematics is to do mathematics.